Welcome back to Mountain Flyers coverage of the Interbike Trade Show. I'm hanging out here with Jeff Stoudt of Formula. Jeff, tell us about your Formula brakes.
Well, we've got a couple new brakes that we're really proud of this year. The first one is an entry-level brake called the C1, which is this brake right here. It uses 22mm pistons for stopping power, so it's got a really nice manageable amount, but also has a brand new master cylinder assembly on it that's improved the ergonomics quite a bit by having the lever pivot much, much closer to the handlebars. So now we've got something that fits even small hands really well with a really, really light action. So one of the other unique features about the C1 brake is it actually uses a cartridge master cylinder inside this unit right here. There's a small unit that goes inside the master cylinder lever assembly that allowed us to get everything really, really small and compact, and again, bring it in closer to the bar for better ergonomics. This brake also features some pretty cool technology in the brake pads. It's a new semi-metallic pad for us. It's the quietest pad that we've ever developed, and it's also very easy to brake in and nearly noise-free.
Say, how do you know when the brake pad needs replacing?
The best thing to do to check your brake pads is before every ride, look into the small window in the backside of the caliper so that you can actually see the amount of pad material that's on there and just examine them on a regular basis. If for some reason you feel the lever throw change, that would also be an indicator that it's time to check your pads or possibly replace them as well.
What about the sound they make? Well, actually, this is a pretty quiet pad, right?
If this brake pad starts making a lot of noise, you've probably worn it all the way down to metal, and that's a bad thing. Check them way more often before that happens.
All right, I'll do that for sure. All right, tell us more about this.
The C1 also comes with a new rotor. The rotor is a little bit thicker in both the arm dimensions as well as the actual thickness of the rotor. The hole pattern is drilled a little bit different than what our previous R1 style rotor was. Although it does weigh just a tiny bit more, it's the truest rotor that we've ever made, and it also has a little bit stiffer properties to it as well, which you feel in your braking power.
Like women and children would be,
in the past, it fit small hands to extra large hands really well, but with the new brakes that we've developed, we've really focused a lot more on even smaller hands, or those people that just like to have their lever engaged much closer to the handlebar. So now we're fitting sort of that extra small hand all the way on up to the extra large hand, as well as just a personal preference issue.
All right, so what kind of riding would you do with these brakes?
This is definitely geared more towards the enthusiast. It's sort of a middleweight brake with a good amount of stopping power to it. It's definitely more of the cross-country rider to light gravity use, but I wouldn't call it a downhill brake or an enduro brake by any means.
Do you have something else to show us?
I do. I also have an R1 racing brake that I'd love to show you guys.
All right, let's check out this R1 racing brake.
The R1 Racing is the lightest brake that we make. It's one of my favorites because it's covered with titanium hardware. It's got the Kevlar line, which has really nice clean look to it, but also has a brand new style of master cylinder that we've never done in the past. With the traditional master cylinder, when you pull the brake lever, you're generally pushing the piston in towards the system. But on this particular system, what you have happening is the piston is actually pulling out as the lever is pulled in. That allows us to decrease a lot of the wear and friction and stuff on the seals. The best way to describe this to somebody is if you have a tube and you're trying to push a towel through it, it's going to be a little harder than if you were to try and actually pull the towel through the same exact tube. The same thing is true, and although it's not a huge difference, it's enough where we noticed definitely a lot better durability in the seals in the master cylinder piston unit itself. The ergonomics on this brake have improved quite a bit. The pivot location is much closer to the handlebar than anything we've done in the past, and this is the shortest from here to here than any other brake that we've made. This has titanium hardware for the pivot hardware as well as the clamp itself, and is Mixmaster compatible, which we don't show here, but we do have a clamp that's available so that you can attach your SRAM shifters to this product. Weight on this brake is coming in at 267 grams, and the price on this brake is going to be $389 per wheel. And everything about this system is a little bit more compact, and again, it's bringing that in closer to the handlebars, and it's improving the lever ergonomics and feel quite a bit. This has a much lighter feel than brakes that we've made in the past, and so we've seen a lot of benefits for that, in addition to just the overall cool factor of everything else about this brake. The CNC machining, the forging process, the polished finish on it looks really nice and sharp, and again, it's a weight-featured brake for sure.
All right, so who's going to be needing this? What kind of racer?
Pretty much everybody. These brakes actually have enough stopping power where we get a lot of gravity riders that are out there using them. With our brakes, you're able to buy the brake system, and then separately you're purchasing your rotors and adapters. So we have guys out there that are running 7 and even 8-inch rotors with the R1 Racing brake because they're weight focused, but maybe they're riding more aggressive terrain, and they're going to need that stopping power that the larger rotor provides. The amount of force that the pistons provide is actually really, really good on this brake and comparable to a lot of other stuff in the market that's more of a gravity brake.
All right, those are the brakes. Now let's check out the fork. What do you got for us, Jeff?
Well, brand new for us this year is the 35 series of forks. What we have is 35 millimeter diameter stanchions for our 29er and our 27.5-inch wheel offerings. Or for those of you that are still stuck on the 650B, same thing there. The 35 millimeter diameter stanchions not only give us something that's a lot stiffer, but allows us to run a thinner wall diameter, so we have something that's extremely lightweight. Our 29er fork is coming in at 1,700 grams, and the 650B fork, 27.5-inch fork, is coming in at 1,650 grams. This is actually for a full-featured fork that still has rebound, compression, lockout, and an additional threshold. Plus, there's some other features in our fork that are really cool as far as being able to fine-tune those adjustments specifically for an individual rider. The cartridge assembly itself has a few knobs on the top. We've got our compression knob is going to be the blue knob. The gold lever is the lockout knob. And then additionally, there's a very small set screw here that's adjustable by a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. That's going to be the threshold adjustment. We felt that by having a small set screw instead of a knob, we were able to save a little bit of weight and complexity and keep this top cap a little simpler while still providing you that setting for something that we feel is usually kind of a set and forget kind of feature. There's another set screw inside the fork located just next to the gold knob. That set screw allows you to actually rotate the cartridge inside of the fork unit itself. So if we look at the top of the fork, you could actually have something where your lockout levers face backwards or face forwards, and that's really just a rider individual preference. In addition to that, the legs on both sides of this fork are actually threaded the same. So if we have a left-handed rider that would really like to see their cartridge on the left-hand side, it's actually an option for our forks.
You can adjust this fork in the middle of the trail.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything's done with knobs on the top of the fork, with the exception of the rebound knob on the top. One of the rather unique features about this fork is the stick for the rebound knob still has an Allen wrench on it, like a lot of other brands have done in the past, but our engineers were smart enough to engineer this to where this actually fits inside of the threshold adjustment on the top. So if you're that total weight weenie, you want everything as simple as possible, you still have the ability to adjust this out on the trail while you're out riding. And it's something that just pops right back in the fork and will do your rebound as well. Totally geeky feature, I know, but I just really like the simplicity and adjustability of it.
All right, so lots of custom options on this fork. What else does it have?
Well, one of the unique features about our fork is we've designed something that's really environmentally friendly by using ballast oil. Ballast oil is something that's been around for more than 100 years, and people have used it to polish up their gun stocks and their horse manes before shows. It's this non-toxic oil that's available pretty much worldwide. It's something that's in your hardware store that you don't know is there, but it's on the bottom shelf next to the 3-in-1 oil. It's what we use to lubricate the air piston on the top, and we also use it in a little bit of the bath that's in the bottom. This is a sealed cartridge unit, so the actual oil that's in the cartridge is going to be fork oil because that doesn't aerate nearly as much and has some other positive properties to it. With the ballast oil, you're actually able to change the amount of ballast oil in the air piston side of the fork. So by increasing or decreasing the amount of oil you have in there, you're actually going to change how linear or progressive the fork is. In addition to those features, the last feature that I love to point out about our fork is it does come with a Synte style X2 axle. This is a 12 millimeter axle that uses a spin type lever. When you close the lever, you're able to put it in whatever position you want because the lever itself actually pulls out of the end of the fork and is really just a glorified Allen wrench. For the ultimate weight weenie, you can go ride your fork like this, and a regular 5 millimeter Allen wrench is still going to remove your axle. But for somebody that wants that system on their bike, the axle itself can have the quick release put in the inside, and you are able to take this out and position it in whatever location you want, because instead of just being a 6-sided keyed Allen slot, it's actually a 12-sided keyed area. So you're able to position this more directions, so you can line it up with the top of the fork or the back of the fork, whichever direction you prefer.
All right, that's something that I'd like to have on my bike. Right, all right, so you can just put this in any direction. You don't have to sit there and mess around with any other dials or anything like that. All right, what is the shock?
The shock here, this version retails for $1,350. We will also have one available with a hydraulic remote lockout that adds $100 to the fork, so we're looking at $1,450 retail for that product.
All right, and what's the name of this?
This is called the Formula 33, or I'm sorry, the Formula 35 fork because of the 35 millimeter stanchions. We also do some 33 millimeter stanchion forks as well, but that's primarily for the 26-inch wheels.
Okay, that's the Formula 35 for Jeff Stoudt. I'm Butch Pearson, mountainflyer.com.